Hi guys. Today we will discuss the concepts of Patala and Naraka according to Brahma Purana. Because you see, hell is not a place that you go to, it's not underground as in the Abrahamic epistems. In the Hindu concepts, so far as I've understood the Naraka concept at least, Narak seems to be a punishment where you serve your time, where you do your prayashchitta, and then you get on with your life. And Patala is at least translated as the nether regions. Those are different locations in India. It's tough to determine whether it was actually a geographical location or a metaphorical location. Just describe that. Yes, this is what will happen to you. The place you are the place you are at after you have done something wrong. The mental place. That may be Patala and Naraka, or it may be an actual place that people were sent to. That's what I've gotten understood about Patala. But Narak, very specifically, as we'll read here, you will probably agree with me when I say that Narak seems to be a punishment and not an actual place. So this is still Rishi Lomaharshana describing the things to other sages, sages and brahmanas, rishis, etc., ascetics, who have all gathered with Rishi Lomaharshana in the Naimisha forest in UP. So the people, all those other sages, are asking Lomaharshana about different topics, and Lomaharshana goes on describing them as he goes. So let's start. Lomaharshana said, "O Brahmanas, the Narakas are located beneath the waters. The sinners are cast down there. O best among Brahmanas, hear about them. They are Raurava, Shaukara, Rudhastana, Vishasana, Mahajvala, Taptakumbha, Mahalobha, Vimohana, Rudhirandha, Vaitarani, Krimisha, Krimibhojna, Asipatravana, Krishna, Lalabhoksha, Daruna, Puyavaha, Papa, Vanijvala, Adhashira, Samdasha, Krishna Sutra, Tamas, Avichi, Shvabhojana, Apratishtha, and the second Avichi. Now, all of this you'll notice very soon. They are just specific things that are done to you when you do something wrong. They aren't actual places. Apart from these, there are other extremely terrible narakas. Those are terrible and with weapons and fire generate fear. Men who are engaged in sinful activities fall there. If a man bears false witness, now we'll get into specifically what are the blasphemies what are the specific things that are considered wrong, considered illegal, what are the specific things that are looked down upon, and which specific illegal act leads to what. Now we'll get into those details. Apart from these, there are other extremely terrible narakas. Those are terrible and with weapons and fire generate fear. Men who are engaged in sinful activities fall there. If a man bears false witness, speaks with partiality, or utters other kinds of falsehood, he goes to Raurava. O supreme among sages, a person who kills a fetus, kills a guru, kills a cow, or strangles someone by obstructing his breath goes to the terrible Raurava. If a person drinks liquor, kills a brahmana, steals gold, or is associated with those who do these things, he goes to the hell Shaukara. If a person kills someone from the royal family, kills a Vaishya, has intercourse with his guru's wife, has intercourse with his sister, or kills a king's servant, he goes to Taptakumbha. If a person sells his faithful wife, stores liquor to sell it, sells kesara, or abandons someone who is faithful to him, he falls into Taptaloha. If a person has intercourse with his daughter or his daughter-in-law, he falls into Mahajvala. O Brahmanas, if the worst among men disrespects or reviles his guru, abuses the Vedas, sells the Vedas, or has intercourse with someone he should not have intercourse with, he goes to Shabala. A thief or a person who violates a contract falls into Vimohana. A person who hates gods, brahmanas, or ancestors, or a person who spoils a jewel goes to Krimi Bhojna. We will get into what is Krimi Bhojna, etc. A person who sacrifices in the wrong way goes to Krimisha. The worst among men who has his food before ancestors, gods, and guests goes to Lalabhoksha. A person who makes excessively fierce arrows goes to Vedhaka. If a person makes barbed arrows or makes swords and similar weapons, he goes to the extremely terrible hell named Vishasana. If a person receives gifts from a wicked person, he goes to the hell named Adhomukha. If a person performs a sacrifice for someone who is not entitled to sacrifice, or is a bad astrologer, or constantly eats sweetmeats alone, he goes to Krimipuya. Now let me describe what are the Hi Shravya. Now let me discuss what are the specific punishments. Okay, so Shukara means pig. So Shokara probably means a hell where people are so tortured that they squeal like pigs. This is Bibek Debroy's interpretation of it. So what do you do if you end up in Shokara? So what is Raurava? Raurava is a hell where one suffers at the hands of fierce animals known as Rurus. O supreme among sages, a person who kills a fetus, kills a guru, kills a cow, or strangles someone by obstructing his breath goes to the terrible Raurava. Raurava is a hell where one suffers at the hands of fierce animals known as Rurus. So therefore I think it's a punishment, it's a sentence. It's a punishment sentence, it's not a life sentence. It's a sentence for that one particular act. You will be left in Raurava once, where you'll be suffering like this, and then your prashit happens, and you come back to mainstream society. That's, I think, the interpretation of Naraka in Hindu mythology, in Hindu text. And if a person drinks liquor, kills a brahmana, steals gold, or is associated with those who do these things, he goes to the hell Shokara. And Shokara probably means a hell where people are so tortured that they squeal like pigs. If a person kills someone from the royal family, kills a Vaishya, has intercourse with his guru's wife, or has intercourse with his sister, or kills a king's servant, he goes to Tapta Kumbha. Now, what is Tapta Kumbha? Tapta Kumbha, this hell has not been mentioned earlier. Tapta Loha means heated iron, while Tapta Kumbha means heated pot. Since the pot can be filled with molten iron, the two hells can be identical. So basically, a person might be thrown into a pot of molten metals, or maybe boiled alive, whatever. Some kind of a Tapta Kumbha he will be thrust in. If a person sells his faithful wife, or stores liquor to sell it, sells kesara, or abandons someone who is faithful to him, he falls into Tapta Loha. That also seems like molten metals. A pot that is being continuously heated. It's on a fire, and it's being there's molten metals, and the person will be thrown inside that. Namaskar, Praful Raut. So, if a person has an intercourse with his daughter or his daughter-in-law, he falls into Mahajvala. Mahajvala is literally large blaze. So, Mahajwala, that's Mahajvala. O Brahmanas, if the worst among men disrespects or reviles his guru, abuses the Vedas, sells the Vedas, or has intercourse with someone he should not have intercourse with, he goes to Shabala. Now, what is Shabala? This has not been mentioned earlier. The word means speckled, so we can't be exactly sure what's Shabala. A thief or a person who violates a contract falls into Vimohana. Vimohana means a place where one is confounded, means all confused and tripping and hallucinating, those kinds of things. Vimohana means kind of hypnotized as well. So I think they would be given strong hallucinogens so that you just remain there confused, think that you are going crazy. That's your punishment. A person who hates gods, brahmanas, or ancestors, or a person who spoils a jewel goes to Krimi Bhojna. Now this is where the real harsh punishments come in, okay? Krimi Bhojna means where worms feed on the sinner. A person who sacrifices in the wrong way goes to Krimisha. Krimisha is where worms lord over the sinner. So worms will be all over your body. That's Krimisha. The worst among men who has his food before ancestors, gods, and guests goes to Lalabhoksha. Lalabhoksha is where the sinner feeds on saliva. Is made to feed on saliva, obviously. A person who makes excessively fierce arrows goes to Vedhaka. Now, not mentioned earlier, an excessively fierce arrow probably means an arrow with poison at the tip, something generally condemned. People were supposed to not have poison in their arrows because we were such nice people. Vedhaka probably means a place where the sinner is pierced or poisoned. And if a person makes barbed arrows, that is having thorns on the arrow, so it's extra brutal. If a person makes barbed arrows or makes swords and similar weapons, he goes to the extremely terrible hell named Vishasana. Now, what's Vishasana? Not mentioned earlier, but a place where the sinner is slaughtered or set on fire. This is serious punishment. And if a person receives gifts from a wicked person, he goes to the hell named Adhomukha. Adhomukha means it's the same as Adhashira, where the sinner is hung face downwards. If a person performs a sacrifice for someone who is not entitled to sacrifice, or is a bad astrologer, or constantly eats sweetmeats alone, he goes to Krimipuya. Krimipuya is not mentioned earlier. It's a place rendered impure by worms. Bahut sare worms. He'll be sent to such a place. O Brahmanas, if a Brahmana sells lac, the extract of meat, sesamum, or salt, Brahmins are not supposed to sell these things. If they sell lac, the extract of meat, sesamum, or salt, he too goes to the same hell, that is to Krimipuya, that is a place rendered impure by worms. O best among Brahmanas, if a person keeps cats, hens, goats, dogs, pigs, then he goes to the same hell, that is Krimipuya. So you're not supposed to have pets according to Brahma Purana. He goes to the same hell. If a Brahmana earns a living as an actor, a fisherman, a pimp, a seller of poison, a spy, a buffalo keeper, or if he indulges in sexual intercourse on Parva days. What are Parva days? Special auspicious days. If he indulges in sexual intercourse on Parva days, he descends into Rudhirandha. This is also true of an arsonist, one who sets things on fire. This is also true of an arsonist, a slayer of friends, a person who performs a sacrifice in a village of astrologers, and a seller of soma. All of them will go to Rudhirandha. If a man destroys honey, he goes to Vaitarani. If a person forces the drinking of semen, that is sperm, or violates a contract, or does not follow norms of purification, or earns a living through deception, which means a professional fraud or con man. So if a person makes a living through deception, he goes to Kricha. Kricha means a place where the sinner faces hardships. If a person cuts down a forest unnecessarily, he goes to Asipatravana, which means a place where the leaves of trees and bushes are like swords. O Brahmanas, those who hunt sheep and deer fall into Vannijwala, literally a net of fire. Those who use a fire to cook what should not be cooked also go to Vannijwala. If a person deviates from his vows or from his own ashrama, he falls into Samdasha, a place where the sinner is bitten and undergoes pain there. If men are following brahmacharya but discharge semen semen meaning sperm, but discharge semen during the day or in their dreams, or if they are taught by their sons, they descend into Shvabhojana, a place where the sinner is eaten by dogs. There are hundreds and thousands of other hells. Evildoers are cooked there and face pain. In that way, there are thousands of other sins. After the time in Naraka is over, this is why I think it's a particular fixed time frame based sentence, punishment. It's not a place, physical place, geographical place that you go to. Patala seems like that. I'm not Patala, I mean Naraka. After the time in Naraka is over, men are reborn and suffer the consequences of these. Men who act against Varna and Ashrama in their deeds, thoughts, or speech go to hells because you will be destabilizing society. With their heads hanging downwards, those in Naraka can see the gods in heaven. The gods also see all of them in Naraka, with their heads hanging downwards. In progressive order, the stages are immobile objects, worms. By here, stages means of birth as these species, of birth as these particular species, and then moving upwards in subsequent births. So the stages are by rank: first immobile objects, then worms, then aquatic creatures, then birds, then animals, then ordinary men, then men devoted to dharma, then gods, and then those who attain moksha. So those who attain moksha are above gods. Gods and those who attain moksha, they may be a similar rank. Progressively, 1000 parts of the first amount to 1 part of the second. So 1000 parts of the first amounts to 1 part of the second. So 1000 parts of the immobile object in one birth makes up one part of the worm, and then 1000 parts of the worm makes up 1 part of the aquatic creatures, and so on. And Lomaharshana says, Rishi Lomaharshana goes on to say, O immensely fortunate ones, before attaining an emancipation, that is moksha, everyone must pass through these stages. Because as long as creatures go to heaven, there will be residence in hell too. This is beautiful wisdom. Okay, Afin is saying, oh, by the way, Puranas are dependent on the sampradaya as to how they are looked at. I see. Even within the sampradayas, there are differences depending on the theology. For example, PVP Brahma Vaivarta Purana is helped by Madhva and Gaudiya because they have something called Rasa theology. Yeah. Which sampradaya do you think follows the Brahma Puran then? Do you know? By the way, always go for Gita Press or Chaukhamba if you don't get them directly from some Sampradayic institute. Yeah, Gita Press I checked. I couldn't find any English translations. I'm going to buy their Bengali versions of Purans. But this is done by Bibek Debroy, so this is pretty legit. And Bibek Debroy has translated from the critical editions edited by Bhandarkar Research Institute. Sinners who turn away from Prayashchitta. Prayashchitta meaning literally atonement, obviously. We know this. Sinners who turn away from Prayashchitta go to hell. So, atonement is proportionate to the sin that has been committed. The supreme rishis have spoken about these and they must be remembered. If the sin is major, the atonement is major. If the sin is minor, the atonement is also minor. O Indras among Brahmanas, Svayambhu and others have spoken about Prayashchitta. Svayambhu meaning Manu. Among many kinds of atonement are acts of austerity. Okay, so if you live a life of austerity, then that's a Prayashchitta in itself. Beautiful. However, among all these, remembering Krishna is the best. After committing a sin, if there is repentance in a man, the best atonement for him is to remember Hari. A man must remember Narayana in the morning, at night, at the time of the sandhyas, and at the midday. All his sins will then be instantly destroyed. Through remembering Vishnu, all the stores of hardship are destroyed. For such a person, even the attainment of heaven is an impediment. Okay, this is where things will get interesting. Okay, so far Brahma Puran seems to be a Vaishnava Puran. I mean probably Vaishnav people follow the Brahma Puran. Okay, now check this out. This is very interesting. Though through remembering Vishnu, all the stores of hardship are destroyed. For such a person, even the attainment of heaven is an impediment, and he proceeds towards emancipation. So for such a person, even heaven is a hindrance. Matlab heaven jaake kya hoga? For him, emancipation is the main goal. O Indras among Brahmanas, If a person's mind is intent on Vasudeva and he worships him through japa and oblations, even reaping for such a person who does those things, for such a person, even reaping a fruit like becoming Indra of the gods, even that's a hindrance. It's a thorn on your way. It's an unimportant distraction. What? Because he's headed for greater things. These are small things for him. What is there in going to the vault of heaven? Swarg jaake kya hoga? Swarg is nothing for these people. It has the quality of returning to samsara again. How can that compare with japa towards Vasudeva, which is the excellent seed of emancipation? So moksha is way more important than going to heaven. Therefore, if a Brahmin or any man remembers Vishnu night and day, he does not go to Naraka. He is pure and all his sins are destroyed. That which causes delight to the mind is heaven. This is why I am looking for all the wisdom I can find in Hindu texts. The rituals, the customs are secondary according to me. The wisdom is what I'm after. See, that which causes delight to the mind is heaven. So hell is not a geographical place. Heaven does not have to be a geographical place. It can be a geographical place, nice, cold, icy mountains. But the joy you feel after you've done something good, that's heaven. And the guilt you feel, and you are troubled with guilt day and night for having screwed something up, that's pure hell. We all know this. It feels like hell, and that is actually hell. See, that which causes delight to the mind is heaven. Anything that is contrary is hell. This is Hindu hell and Hindu heaven. Heaven is not in the sky, hell is not underground. O supreme among Brahmanas, good deeds and wicked deeds are given the names of heaven and hell. Aha, what a beautiful thing to say. This is beautiful philosophy. Good deeds and wicked deeds are given the names of heaven and hell. The same object can cause misery as well as joy. It can also give rise to anger. Therefore, there is no object that solely gives rise to misery or to joy. Even if there is joy, there is misery again. When the anger disappears, there is pleasure. Hence, there is nothing that innately gives rise to misery or to joy. The symptoms of misery and joy are consequences of the mind. Jnana is the supreme Brahman. Jnana destroys bondage. The universe is formed out of Jnana. Jnana is supreme. O Brahmanas, Jnana is the foundation of learning and ignorance. I have thus spoken to you about the earth's globe. O Brahmanas, I have also spoken to you about all the nether regions, hells, oceans, mountains, dvipas, varshas and rivers. I have spoken briefly about these. What else do you wish to hear? This is where we have ended the chapter discussing Naraka and Patala. After this, we'll get into Bhuloka and upper regions. Let's check out some comments. Harsh is saying, we in Bihar of Shakta sect read Garud Puran for some 9 days after someone dies. I see. Afin is saying, Brahma Puran, as far as I can remember, Vaishnavas call it Rajasic. So second class Puran below Sattvic ones. I see. Maybe held high by Saurta, sometimes called Brahma Sampradayas. Okay. Yes, certain parts of Garud Puran is to be read for all Sampradayas after a near and dear passes away. I think even the Shrad rituals, all the mantras that are recited, even those come from Garud Puran, right? Certain parts of Garud Puran is to be read for all Sampradayas after a near and dear passes away through the verses varies, or you read the whole thing. Yes, liberation in Hinduism is more important than salvation. Yeah. Moksha is the ultimate goal for souls. Yes. Harsha Simp. Okay. Bhuloka and upper regions. Let me just have some coffee. So Rishi Lomaharshana's discussion with other rishis is going on in the Naimisha forest in UP. The sages said, you have spoken to us, you have spoken to all of us about everything. We wish to hear about Bhuloka and the other lokas, and about the positions and dimensions of the planets. This implies the grahas. O immensely fortunate one, O Lomaharshana, tell us accurately about these. Lomaharshana replied, "That which is illuminated by the rays of the sun and the beams of the moon, along with its oceans, rivers, and mountains, is known as the earth. The size and circumference of the earth is the same as the size and circumference of the sky." We have translated Parimandala as circumference. So, sky here implies Parimandala. No, actually, it was written Parimandala in the original text. Bibek Debroy has translated that to be sky. O Brahmanas, the solar disk is at a distance of 100,000 yojanas from Earth. The lunar disk is at a distance of 100,000 yojanas from the sun. The entire circle of nakshatras shines a full 100,000 yojanas away from the moon. O Brahmanas, Buddha is at a distance of 200,000 yojanas from the circle of nakshatras. Buddha here implies the planet Mercury. Okay. Now, Buddhists will come and say that Buddha came before these, so that's why Brahma Purana is addressing Buddha. But here, Buddha implies the planet Mercury. So, the planet Mercury is at a distance of 200,000 yojanas from the circle of nakshatras. Ushanas, which is Shukra or Venus. Venus is stationed 200,000 yojanas above Buddha. Angaraka, which means Mars, is stationed at a distance of 200,000 yojanas from Ushanas, that is from Venus. The preceptor of the gods, which means Brihaspati or Jupiter, the preceptor of the gods. I see they are calling Jupiter the preceptor of the gods, which means they also could notice that it's the biggest planet. How are they doing this? Just too much concentration and a lot of time to just check it out. Because that's his job. The preceptor of the gods is stationed at a distance of 200,000 yojanas from Bhauma. Sauri, which means Saturn. Saturn is stationed 200,000 yojanas above Brihaspati. O supreme among Brahmanas, the circle of the Saptarshis is at a distance of 100,000 yojanas from Brihaspati. 100,000 yojanas from the Rishis is Dhruva, which is like a pivot for all the shining bodies. O supreme among Brahmanas, I have briefly spoken about the three worlds. These are the places for sacrifices. These are the places for enjoying the fruits of sacrifices. Bhuvarloka is 1 crore yojanas above Dhruva. Those destined to survive at the end of a kalpa reside in Bhuvarloka. O Brahmanas, Janaloka is 2 crore yojanas from Bhuvarloka. Brahma's sons with unblemished minds, Sananda and the others, that is Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana and Sanat Kumara, they are the sons of Brahma. They live there. Tapoloka is said to be 8 crore yojanas above Bhuvarloka. The gods known as Vairajas, who have no bodies, live there. The radiant Satyaloka is 48 crore yojanas from Tapoloka. One is freed from death there, and that place is also known as Brahma's world. If there is any place on earth where one can travel on one's feet, that region is said to be Bhuloka. I have spoken about it in detail. The region between the earth and the sun is frequented by siddhas and sages. O supreme among sages, this is the second region and is known as Bhuvarloka. Bhuloka and Bhuvarloka, and therefore Om Bhu Bhuvar Swaha. This is the second region and is known as Bhuvarloka. The space between Dhruva and the sun is 1,400,000 yojanas. Those who have thought about the location of the worlds have spoken of this as Svarloka. Brahmanas speak of these three worlds as created, meaning Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka and Svarloka. Bhu, Bhuvar, Swaha. As created afresh at the end of a kalpa. Okay, created from scratch. Janaloka, Tapoloka and Satyaloka are the three that have not been created, because they were not destroyed at the end of a kalpa. Bhuvarloka is in between the created and the uncreated. What nice imagery. Bhuvarloka is in between the created and the uncreated. At the end of a kalpa, it becomes empty, but is not destroyed. O Brahmanas, I have spoken about the 7 upper regions. Maharloka and the others. I have also spoken about the 7 nether regions. These are the dimensions of the cosmic egg. Cosmic egg meaning Brahmanda, Brahma Anda. Okay, let's check out some comments. We come here often, brother. How old are you? Hi Niranjanda, hi. My name is Nirajan, not Niranjan. Shravya, hello bro. I have one friend whose name is the same as yours. But okay. Nirajanda, are you trying to copy Sri Aurobindo's style of beard? Yeah, after he came out of prison. Okay. People discussing amongst themselves. Anybody from Great Secular Kerala? All Kerala. Okay, Prakaram Divya is saying, wanted to know if Sanskrit is seen with reverence in South too. Okay, by the way, this sounds like a geocentric model, unless it is not talking about the physical world, but more of a metaphysical world. Many Puranic cosmology are spiritual rather than physical. Need to check tradition. Yeah, it's pretty confusing, because these were, they obviously didn't have telescopes, so these are just whatever they understood. Okay, whatever these, I don't think they are metaphysical. They were actually looking at the planets and deciding, so this is amount of distance here, this is amount of distance there. But the narak is definitely a condition and a fixed sentence of punishment. Patala is different. Patala, I think, is an actual place that they were sent to, but narak, that is hell, seems to be a situation. Now this egg, the Brahmanda. Okay, let me read this comment. Harsha is saying they are watching ISIS live stream. Okay, Prakaram Divya is saying, there are many subtle meanings to Purana. One has to read commentaries from sages and learn from an enlightened guru. Yeah. Most of our southern language. Okay. So this egg, the Brahmanda, is surrounded by a shell above, below, and diagonally. Just as the seed of a wood apple is surrounded on all sides. O Brahmanas, the egg is surrounded by water that is 10 times in size. The water which surrounds is in turn surrounded by fire. O Brahmanas, the fire is surrounded by wind and the wind is surrounded by space. O best among sages, the space is surrounded by Mahat. O Brahmanas, each of these 7 is such that it is 10 times the preceding one. Which means, since Pradhana is infinite, this actually means 6. The cosmic egg, that is the Brahmand, water, fire, wind, space, and Mahat. O Brahmanas, each of these 7 is such that it is 10 times the preceding one. Pradhana is established surrounding Mahat. It is infinite and has no end. Its dimensions cannot be measured. It is infinite and cannot be subjected to any kind of measurement. O Brahmanas, this is supreme Prakriti, the cause behind creation. There are thousands and tens of thousands of such cosmic eggs. There are tens of thousands of Brahmans, according to Brahma Purana. There are crores and hundreds of crores of such cosmic eggs. Oh dear God. Fire is hidden inside wood and oil is hidden inside a seed of sesamum. Like that, Purusha is hidden inside Pradhana and pervades it. This is known as the conscious Atman. See, this is also a signature aspect of Indic mythology philosophy text itself. That they will always talk with analogies derived from nature. That just like this happens in nature, the same thing happens in life, the same thing happens in cosmology. So whatever happens in space, whatever happens in nature, that's what happens in society, that's what happens in human body. Ancient Indian rishis always connected there was something connecting every existence, everything, every non-living and living thing. They all behave in the same way in some contexts. That is what they were observing always. This is known as the conscious Atman. So we were discussing geography, metaphysics, and now we directly go to philosophy and spirituality. Okay, this is the huge technical jump, so we have to be careful what we are discussing here. So this is supreme Prakriti, what we were discussing now, the cause behind creation. There are thousands of cosmic eggs, etc. Fire is, just like fire is hidden inside wood, and oil is hidden inside a seed of sesamum. So fire is hidden inside wood. So they obviously mean that when we are throwing oil and lighting it up, the potential of fire that was inside the wood was coming out. So you can look at it philosophically as well. You can analyze it with the help of philosophy easily, that yes, there was some material inside the wood, or the wood itself, that had the potential to make it burn. So because everything doesn't burn, so everything doesn't have that potential. That potential is what we are talking about. Fire is hidden inside wood, and oil is hidden inside a seed of sesamum. So this fire is hidden inside wood might have been a literal sentence at one point of time when some rishi might have said it, because they didn't know better. But then when later rishis came, they could have easily put this here just to discuss the philosophy behind it, that something that has the potential to burn, only that will burn. So just like fire is hidden inside wood and the oil is hidden inside a seed of sesamum, like that, Purusha is hidden inside Pradhana and pervades it. This is known as the conscious Atman. O best among Brahmanas, Vishnu's energy sustains them. Sustains Purusha and Prakriti, or the Pradhana. Their dharma is to come together. His energy, that is Vishnu's energy, his energy is the reason behind their existing separately and coming together. O supreme among Brahmanas, at the time of creation, his energy is the cause of agitation. His energy is the cause of agitation, just as the wind blows and chills every drop of water. Vishnu's universal energy is behind Pradhana and Purusha. A tree with a trunk, major branches and minor branches, grows out of an original seed and gives rise to other seeds. From those seeds, other seeds grow, and they are said to possess the same characteristics, constituents, and causes as the original seed. In this way, Mahat and others evolved from what was not created. Evolved from what was not created. So it's on evolution. There's no one coming here and creating a magic that, see, now it has happened. It's not like that. It's always evolving, gathering, accumulating. That's very scientific. That's actually what happens. Nothing is created all of a sudden. Even you could actually philosophize this to say, even all ideas, all ideologies, all are built up on something else. In this way, Mahat and the others evolved from what was not created. From this, specific elements of creation, gods and others result. They have sons, and those sons have other sons. The original tree does not suffer because another tree has grown from its seed. Beautiful lines. The original tree does not suffer just because another tree has grown from its seed. In the same way, creatures do not suffer when other categories of creatures result from them. The mere presence of time may appear to be the visible cause behind the original tree. In that way, the universe is a consequence of the illustrious Hari's presence. So you see, it's bordering on a lot of things: geography, philosophy, metaphysics, and metaphors, and spirituality. All these things are being traversed here and there. So, in even one or two sentences, there is sometimes it's metaphysics, sometimes it's philosophy, sometimes it's spirituality. The root, the stalk, the sprout, the leaf, the stem, the bud, the flower, the milk, the husk, the rice, the chaff, and the ear latently exist inside a seed of paddy. Yeah, all the seed that will grow up to be all these things. The potential for all those things is hidden inside that small seed. O supreme among sages, all the ingredients for growth already exist. Yes, without the potential that would not happen. In the same way, the bodies of gods and others already exist within their own karma. Growth results after coming into contact with Vishnu's energy. Vishnu is the supreme Brahman, and everything in the universe flows from him. The universe exists within him, and it is into him that it is dissolved. The Brahman is the supreme refuge, the supreme state that is beyond cause and effect. The universe, with all its divisions and mobile and immobile objects, exists within him. He is the foundation of Prakriti. He is the manifested form of the universe. This also sounds like a description of Shiva, right? At the time of destruction, everything enters into him. He is the agent behind sacrifices. He is worshipped through sacrifices. He is the fruits of those sacrifices. He is the means for undertaking sacrifices. Other than Hari, what else exists? What is distinct from him? We've ended this chapter, and the next chapter is called Dhruva's Place. And before that, let's check out some comments. AFN is saying there. Wait, I need to adjust my mic a little. So, there is a. AFN is saying there is a reason while there is one godly language Sanskrit, but there are two divine language Sanskrit and Tamil, because in accordance to Skanda Shaivite, Tamil Shaivism, the origin of Sanskrit is from the right and Tamil is from the left side of the Damru. Okay, Damru of Shiva. The words originated from him, yeah. Most words in Malayalam are either from Sanskrit or Tamil. Commonly used words are mostly Tamil like words, but formal literature words mostly comes from Sanskrit. Okay. How about we all write our home states and mother tongue? Okay. Bengali, Hindi, Effin. Aniket Gautam, were you the one who sent me some donations in UPI? If you did, thank you. Present day Advaitiyans are against every other sect who doesn't follow Advait Vedanta and have superiority complex. They didn't learn anything from Adi Shankara, who composed so many Bhakti Stotrams. Yeah, if someday in India does become a Hindu Rashtra, these other problems will have to handle even then. Okay, Shravya is saying Srimad Bhagavatam, the chief text of the Vaishnavas, are after Bhagavad Gita, also mention about heavens and hells. I am from Maharashtra. And both Bhagavatam and Brahma Puran mentions the same hells and heavens, 7 upper lokas and 7 lower lokas. Yeah. But in Brahma Puran, they are not, at least the Naraka is a state of mind and a punishment, not an actual place. Okay. Now let's get into Dhruva's place. Who is Dhruva? Loma Harshana said, "In the world of the stars, the illustrious Lord exists in the form of Shishumara. Shishumara is the Gangetic porpoise dolphin. In the sky, it is a constellation which can partly be identified with Draco, the dragon. Dhruva is towards the rear end of Shishumara." Okay, now we are going to discuss astronomy basically. This is Hari's form that exists in the form of Shishumara. This is Hari's form in the firmament. And Dhruva is located on the tail. Where they are seeing a dolphin, the tail is Dhruva. I guess that this is what we call Dhrubotara in Bengali. He, Dhruva, revolves and makes the moon, the sun, the planets and the nakshatras revolve in circular orbits around him. The sun, the moon, the stars, the nakshatras and the planets follow him in arrays, seemingly tied to Dhruva in ropes made out of wind. Narayana is the supreme refuge. He is himself the foundation and the heart of that stellar form in the sky that is spoken of as Shishumar. Uttanapada's son, who is Dhruva. So this Dhruva is supposed to be Uttanapada's son. He worshipped Prajapati and became the star Dhruva. Oh wow. So a person worshipped Prajapati and was made a star. Maybe a star was named after him. Worshipped Prajapati and became the star Dhruva on Shishumara's tail. Janardana, who controls everything, is the support for Shishumara. Dhruva is supported by Shishumara and Bhanu. Bhanu is the sun, and Bhanu is supported by Dhruva. So, Dhruva is supported by Shishumara and Bhanu is supported by Dhruva. The sun is the support for everything in the universe. Okay, this is also pretty scientific. We all know this is true. The sun is the support for everything in the universe, the gods, the asuras and humans. O Brahmanas, for 8 months, Vivasvat sucks up the juice in the water and then showers it down as rain. The entire universe obtains food from this. Having sucked up the water from the universe with his fierce rays, Vivasvat nourishes Soma. The wind is like the veins of the moon and in the firmament. That water is thus circulated among the clouds, which are the embodied forms of smoke, fire, and wind. So, clouds are the embodiment of smoke, fire, and wind, according to Brahma Puran. Since the clouds do not shower down the waters but hold them, clouds are abhra. Abhra meaning, abhra is a cloud derived from a, does not shower down, that is brahmshan. Brahmshan. Water showers down from clouds only when they are urged by the wind. Okay, they are trying to describe the water cycle. Oh, Brahmanas. When time cleanses them in this way, they become purified. The illustrious Savitar, Savitar is also Surya, the illustrious Savitar accepts 4 types of water from rivers, from oceans, from the earth, and from living beings. Yes, this is all scientific things they knew. See, this is pretty advanced stuff. From rivers, from oceans, from earth, and from living beings. The sun was sucking these up, and they knew it. In a similar way, the one with the rays uses his rays to also absorb water from the celestial Ganga. However, without allowing this to enter the clouds, he immediately showers it down on earth. O supreme among Brahmanas, if a mortal comes into contact with this by looking at the sun, his mire sins is cleansed and he does not go to hell. Why? If a mortal comes into contact with this by looking at the sun. This is the water from the celestial Ganga that Ravi uses his rays to shower down without entering the clouds. This is said to be a divine bath. When one looks at the sun at the time of ascendance of Kritika and other odd-numbered nakshatras, that is, there are 27 lunar mansions or nakshatras. Since some nakshatras are constellations, nakshatra should not really be translated as a star. So nakshatras are constellations. So anyway, when one looks at the sun at the time of ascendance of Kritika and other odd-numbered nakshatras, the water that falls down from the firmament is known as water from the Ganga, poured by Diggajas. Diggaja means there are 4 elephants that dwell in the 4 directions. These are known as Diggajas. The elephant Gaja for a direction. Okay, Gajas are Diggajas. When even-numbered nakshatras, in Bengali we call anyone who is pretty awesome in something, we call them a Diggaj. When even-numbered nakshatras are in the ascendance, when they are rising up in the morning, that is, or in the night, the water that falls down from the firmament is instantly dispersed by Surya's rays. This seems to mean that it doesn't go through the Diggajas. O Brahmanas, both are exceedingly sacred and destroy the sins of men. O supreme among Brahmanas, the water from the celestial Ganga constitutes a divine bath. O Brahmanas, the water that is showered by clouds nourishes living beings and nourishes herbs. It is like the amrita of life. All the different types of herbs grow because of this, because of that amrita. They ensure the success of the ripening of crops, and subjects can have offsprings. Men who possess the insight of the sacred texts say that these are used to undertake sacrifices during night and day so as to nourish the gods. Thus, rains sustain everything in the universe, mobile and immobile objects, sacrifices, the Vedas, the Varnas, with Brahmanas as the first, all the forms of the gods, and large numbers of animals and other beings. O supreme among sages, rain occurs because of Savitar. O supreme among the best of sages, Dhruva is like a support for Savitar. Shishumara, that dolphin, that constellation dolphin, is Dhruva's support, and Shishumara's support is Narayana. Narayana is established in Shishumara's heart. He is the original and eternal being who is the creator and cause behind. Narayana is established in Shishumara's heart. Narayana is the original and eternal being who is the creator and cause behind all living things. O best among sages, I have thus spoken to you about the cosmic egg, that is Brahmand, along with the earth and the oceans. What else do you wish to hear? So another chapter ends here, and the next chapter is called Greatness of Tirthas. And let me just check out some comments. Harsh is saying India isn't going to be a Hindu Rashtra. I don't see it. There is just too much opposition to it. ex-Buddhist. We just need to protect Hindu heritages in India. Yes. Afin says, by the way, I love this name, Loma Harshana. I think I'll either name my son this, or if someone asks me to name theirs. Very base name if you ask me. Yes. Goosebumps. In Bengali, Loma Harshana means goosebumps, right? Lom Harshok. Afin, there was a name when they said the rule of Islam of this land will not end. And then they said the sun doesn't set on the British, etc. The promise of Kali Yuga is no kingdom will last for eternity. Only Dharma is eternal, so calm down. Harsha, so Lom Harshana in Bengali at least we mean is that goosebumps, meaning your hair stands up. That's what it means in Bengali. Sanskrit meaning something. What's the meaning of Harsha? Harsha, your name is Harsh. So Lom I think probably is okay. Anuloma and Pratiloma. Google what that means. So that is the Lom, and Harsha is whatever your name means. Okay, Shravya is saying maybe here Prajapati is referring to Lord Vishnu, cause the story I had heard about Dhruv Maharaj in that he was a devotee of Vishnu. Yeah, seems like it. Harsha says, do you guys know about people who use Prajapati as surname? Who are they? Yeah, even in Hindi we use Diggaja. Harsha means happiness. Okay, now find out what Lom means. Anuloma and Pratiloma. Let me drink some water. Okay. Yeah, Prajapati is a surname for some people. Okay, now greatness of Tirthas. The sages asked, O one who knows about Dharma. They are asking Loma Harshana. They are addressing Loma Harshana here. The sages asked, O one who knows about Dharma, what are the blessed Tirthas and other sacred places on earth? Our minds wish to hear about that. You should tell us. Loma Harshana replied, if a person controls his hands, feet, and mind, and if he possesses learning, austerities, and fame, he obtains fruits from visiting Tirthas. So, you see, okay, both Tirthas and Kshetras are sacred places of pilgrimage. However, Tirthas are associated with water, while Kshetras are not. So, Tirtha Kshetra is not the same thing. Kshetra is different and Tirtha is different. But anyway, check out this, that if you are a person who does not control your hands, feet, and your mind, if you do not possess learning or austerities or fame, then you actually don't obtain any fruits from visiting Tirthas, okay? This is pretty sad and depressing. For a man, a pure mind is a Tirtha. This is what I'm talking about. This is the wisdom I'm looking for in Hindu texts. This is so amazing. For a man, for humans to be gender neutral about this, for humans, a pure mind is a Tirtha. Can you believe this? Control of speech and the senses is also like that, is also a Tirtha. So this is why I'm in favor of self-censoring. Free speech cannot work without people consciously censoring themselves. Everyone has to be ethical and has to question themselves repeatedly that what I'm saying, is it really necessary? Or am I doing it just to hurt someone and just to offend someone? And therefore, shouldn't I censor myself? So it's kind of like that, self-censoring. So for a man, a pure mind is a Tirtha. Control of speech and the senses is also like that. Hence, there are Tirthas inside the body, and they make one understand about paths to heaven. This is so amazing. Wait, I'll need to mark this. Tirthas inside the body. You know, it was Nietzsche, I think Friedrich Nietzsche, who said that close your Bible में कुछ नहीं रखा, सिर्फ मनुस्मृति पढ़ो. So Nietzsche also had said that there is more philosophy in the human body than there is in any philosophy book in the world, because your body runs with such a great philosophy that, see, like workouts, it operates on the philosophy of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? If you pick up something so heavy that your ligament tears, that means it didn't work, it was too heavy. But if you raise something heavier, just less heavier than that, which would have torn your ligaments, and then you break down your muscles, so you didn't get killed, your hand didn't get killed, but it will get stronger the next day, because the muscles then give you, the brain gets the signals, the proteins get the signals to give this person more muscle, because this man is now planning to pick up weights every day. So that's how the philosophy of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger applies to the human body, but it also applies to the personality as well, right? People who have gone through hardships will obviously be stronger mentally. So you see, the cosmic order as reflected in the societal order, as reflected in the human body, as reflected in nature, these are the connections that Hinduism has always drawn. This is the wisdom I'm looking for. For a man, a pure mind. I'm going to read this once again. I can't help it. This is one of the most beautiful lines I've read in the last few days in any book. For a man, a pure mind is a tirtha. Control of speech and the senses is also like that. Hence, there are tirthas inside the body, and they make one understand about paths to heaven. If the mind inside is wicked, it is not purified by bathing in a tirtha. Yeah, this is a problem. This is what we discussed even yesterday in the Manusmriti. Remember, they were saying that if someone has a wicked heart, तो तुम कितना चाहे यज्ञ कर लो, वेद पढ़ लो, उपनयन कर लो, तुम्हारा कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. Wicked heart होने से नहीं चलेगा. So and that's the motive, that's the character archetype of Ravana, right? That he was doing everything to that so-called connection to God. He should have gotten that, but in the end, he's still a bad person. If the mind inside is wicked, it is not purified. It is not purified by bathing in a tirtha. Even if it is washed 100 times in water, a vessel filled with liquor does not become pure. If a man is wicked inside, if he is prone to insolence, and if he has not been able to conquer his senses, that is, if he has not been able to become a jitendriya, then tirthas, donations, and vows do not help. This is pretty depressing stuff. I wonder, all those criminal netas who keep going to temples. If a man is able to conquer his senses, wherever he resides is like Kurukshetra, Prayaga, or Pushkara. What is this? This seems like an Enlightenment era retelling of Hinduism. This is like Hindu modernity. If a man is able to conquer his senses, wherever he resides is like Kurukshetra, Prayaga, or Pushkara. Hence, I will tell you about Tirthas and other sacred places. Listen, O best among sages, I will briefly tell you about where they are on earth. Even if I speak for 100 years, I will not be able to tell you about them in detail. Let's read some comments. This was pretty amazing. Let's check out some comments. So, Lo Maharshana means electrifying. I see. Nice. Afin says, yeah, I guess when applied to a human, it would mean near him others will feel goosebumps. Right. That is why. Interesting inference. Yes. Because little bits of electricity and what's that term called? I forgot. It gives you goosebumps when you get a little bit of shock. So Shravya is saying these are the wisdoms people need to know, especially our youths. Yes, the same people who would talk about casteism in Indic texts won't ever speak about such things. And yes, the things we read yesterday in the Manusmriti, absolute mind-boggling stuff. Because these are the things that have been appropriated by the West. They have read these things and have given them other names, like all motivational speeches, etc. This is why many months back I had once seen that Sanjay Dikshit got a question in his Q&A. Someone had asked him that, sir, motivation ke liye kya kare, how to work hard, etc., how to keep myself motivated. And he said, read the Gita. And since I'm born in a atheist family, born and raised atheist, I've never read the Gita. I've never seen a Gita in front of me. Oh, I do have the Srila Prabhupada's translation of the Gita. I've never read it yet. I haven't read it yet. I got it only last year. But anyway, so it was pretty fascinating to me that how can someone say that Gita is a motivational thing. By motivational speech, I mean that some athlete or a military person will say something powerful and you will feel the urge to right now get up and work out. But yesterday, what I read was absolutely motivational. And there's a retired US Army Navy SEAL and kind of a motivational speaker called Jocko Willink. He has this concept called discipline equals to freedom. This is the exact topic we were discussing yesterday in Manusmriti. That have discipline over your senses. That will be your victory towards everything. Then Rudyard Kipling's famous poem "If." The poem is called "If." You can Google it right now. It says people say that if is signifies embodies all the ideology philosophy of Stoicism. Stoic meaning you won't be too shaken up by anything. Stoicism means you won't be too sad when something bad happens, or you won't be too excited and happy when something good happens. Be calm. Handle all things with a pinch of salt. Always know that this too shall pass. खराब टाइम चल रहा है, ये भी कभी ना कभी चला जाएगा. अच्छा टाइम आ रहा है, ये भी कभी ना कभी चला जाएगा. So just be calm. And that stoicism, that if as a poem, was almost verbatim described by Manu in Manusmriti. So Rudyard Kipling, I am 90% sure, has read Manusmriti. Since Friedrich Nietzsche has read, what's stopping Rudyard Kipling from reading Manusmriti? Because in if, it was the sentences were constructed in the same way as Manusmriti. Okay, in the poem "If" it says that when you feel when good things happen and good things happen, don't feel happy. If you can keep yourself calm when bad things happen, and you can meet famous people and common people with the same grace. At the end it says, and then you'll become a man, my son. And in the Manusmriti it says that then you'll attain, you'll reach God or something like that. Okay, let's check some comments. Harsh is saying because these kids are taught just those things. In India, whatever we read about Hinduism is casteism and nothing about Hindu philosophy. Shravya is saying, I don't find it depressing. It should inspire people that only visiting Tirthas is not enough. Yeah. I meant depressing not for me. I meant depressing for people who go to Tirthas but are bad people in their personal lives. Okay, Nina is saying, thank you for introducing me to these Shastras too. Yeah. Before this, I only read the Gita and Mahabharata and thought those were the pinnacle of our literature. But now my mind is blown reading these two. Actually, I've heard from people that Mahabharata is the pinnacle. And that's why I'm saving it for the last. I'm going to read all Puranas, Vedas, at least this the volume 1 and 2 of Brahma Purana, Rig Veda, and parallelly I'm going to ask people to donate to my Mahabharata of Bibek Debroy, which costs about 3,000 rupees. That's much later after we finish these books, and then we'll do entire live streams on Mahabharata as well, because I haven't read it. I've only seen serials, obviously, and I've read a small Bengali abridged version of Ramayana called Cheleder Ramayana, which means Ramayana for kids, written by Satyajit Ray's grandfather. He was a famous Bengali literator. Okay, so now we are getting into. So first, Lomaharshan has given a statutory disclaimer for people joining now, that if you have a wicked heart, Tirth mein jaake kuch nahi hone wala. So after that, now he's going to describe to us where are the Tirthas. Okay, let's go over this quickly once more. If the mind inside is wicked, it is not purified by bathing in a tirtha. Even if it is washed 100 times in water, a vessel filled with liquor does not become pure. If a man is wicked inside, if he is prone to insolence, and if he has not been able to conquer his senses, tirthas, donations, vows do not help. If a man is able to conquer his senses, wherever he resides is like Kurukshetra, Prayaga and Pushkara. Hence I will tell you about tirthas and other sacred places. Listen, O best among sages, I will briefly tell you about where they are on earth. Even if I speak for 100 years, I will not be able to tell you about them in detail. Now, O supreme among Brahmanas, I will first mention Pushkara Tirtha, Naimisharanya, Prayaga and Dharmaranya. Naimisha forest is where he is sitting right now. It was said in the beginning, okay? It's in UP. Then he's saying, Lomaharshana is saying, there is Dhenuka, Champaka forest and Saindhava forest. Okay, he's mentioning forest after forest for Tirthas. There is the sacred Sagara forest, Dandakaranya in Orissa, Gaya, Prabhasa, Shri Tirtha and the divine Kanakhala. There is Brigutunga, Hiranyaksha, Bhimaranya, Kushasthali, Lohargala, Kedara of course, and the forest of Mandara. Kedar, Mandar, maybe they were close by. There is Mahalaya, Koti Tirtha, where all sins are destroyed. Rupa Tirtha, see, where all sins are destroyed. So, either having a wicked heart and doing one particular sin are not same things, or this is a later interpolation by someone else joining their text into the Brahma Purana. Okay, see, because this might be considered to be a contradiction, isn't it? Because if on the one hand they are saying that if you are wicked, kuch nahi hoga tirtha karke, on the other hand they are saying if you go to Mahalaya and Koti Tirtha, all sins are destroyed. So I think 50% chances that a person who is not wicked at heart, even they might end up doing a mistake, which is a sin. They might end up causing a sin. So that person who is not wicked at heart but has committed a sin, they can erase their sin by going to Mahalaya, Koti Tirtha, etc. But other than that, there is a second possibility that this was written by someone else, and that person who was writing this section of the Brahma Purana may not have read the previous section, because he may not have had access to the above paragraph of the text. So they may have written it in their own interpolation way. There is Mahalaya, Koti Tirtha, where all sins are destroyed. Rupa Tirtha, Shukara, and Chakra Tirtha, where great fruits are obtained. There is Vyasa Tirtha, Soma Tirtha, the Tirtha of Shakhotaka, the Tirtha of Kokamukha, and the sacred Badri mountain. There is Soma Tirtha, the Tirtha of Tungakuta, Skandashrama, Surya Prabha, Dhenusara, Saptayushmika. What beautiful names, man. Saptayushmika, Dharmodbhava, Koti Tirtha. Okay, Bibek Debroy has made a footnote here saying Koti Tirtha is repeated. This word, which means 1 crore tirthas together, can also be an adjective and therefore occur in different locations. Some others that are repeated can also be adjectives or generic names such as Surya Tirtha. So yeah, any temple dedicated to Surya, the god Surya, might be considered a Surya Tirtha. So Dhenusara, Saptayushmika, Dharmodbhava, Koti Tirtha, Sarvakamika or Sarvakamika, Surya Prabha, Mahakunda. Surya Prabha is repeated, so it might be an adjective. Mahakunda, Mahakund, and the Tirtha of Somabhishechana. Okay. Somabhishechana. Shom Abhishechana. That's the breakup. There is Mahakshotra, Kodaka, Panchadhara, Tridharaka, Saptadhara, Ekadhara, and the Tirtha of Amarakantaka. There is Shalagrama. Okay, Shalagrama is probably Nepal. Chakra Tirtha and the wonderful Kadali Radha. So it's a lake, Rad, Hrada. Kadali Radha, Vidyut Prabha, Deva Radha. Okay, that's another lake of Devas, Deva Radha. And the Tirtha of Vishnu Prabha. There is Shankara Prabha, Devkunda, and the Tirtha of Vajrayudha. There is Vastrapada, Barhapada, Lokarohana, Swayamvata, Bhadrabala, Kaushambha, Divakara, the Dvipa of the divinity Saraswata, Vijaya, Kamaja, Sollayan Gopachara, Varambana, Purnavat, Sunanakunda, Prayaga, the cave of Vishnupada, Kanyakunda, Vayukunda, the supreme Jambu Marg. Jambu Marg, maybe it might be in Jammu. The Tirtha of Gabhasti and the pure Yayatipattana. Yayatipattana. Is there a possibility it's Patna? There is Koti Tirtha again mentioned. So it seems like it's obvious that multiple people are writing the text of Brahma Purana. It's not written by one person. There is Koti Tirtha, Bhadravata, the forest of Mahakala, the supreme Tirtha of Narmada, Tirtha Bija, Arbuda, Pancha Tirtha, the Tirtha of Vashishta, Priya Samjaka, the Tirtha known as Varshika, the auspicious Panjiraka, Sutirtha, Brahmarudra, the Tirtha of Kanyakumarika, Shakra Tirtha, Panchananda, and Renuka Tirtha. Aha, what a beautiful name. There is the sparkling Paitamaha, the excellent Raudrapada, Manimanta, Kamakhya, okay, Assam, Krishna Tirtha, Kulingaka, maybe in Kalinga or Kulingaka, Srishakrayajana, Brahma Valuka. Okay, Valuka probably means sand, right? So where might this be? Think. Brahma Valuka. Maybe on the somewhere on the beaches. The sacred Vyasa, Pundarika, the excellent Manimantha, Dirghamantha, Hemaspada. No. Dirghamantha, Hamsampada. Hamsampada. Okay, so Hangsha. This probably means a duck. Hamsa means duck. Hangsampad. So a pathway where ducks walk. I think this is what is meant by that. Hangsampada. The Tirtha of Shayana, Rishi Shayanacharya, I guess. The Tirtha of Shayana. The Shashvamedha, of course. Kedara again mentioned. Tamasobheda. Rudrakupa. Where is Rudrakupa? This seems like a fascinating place for Shaivites. The Tirtha of Samyamani, Samtravanasika, the Tirtha of Syamanta Panchaka, the perpetually beautiful Brahma Tirtha, Prithvi Tirtha, Pariplava, Prithudaka, the Tirtha of Dashashvamedhika, Sakshida, Vijaya, Koti Tirtha again mentioned, Panchananda, Varaha, Yakshini Rada. Okay, another lake. Yakshini Rad. Where might it be? Yakshini. What's Yakshini? Yakshagan. Yeah, Yakshagana. So Yakshini, female form of Yakshas. Yakshini Rada, Pundarika, Somatirtha, and the excellent Munjavata Parvat. There is the forest of Badri, the forest of Babura, the Tirtha of Swarloka Dwarka. Okay, Swarloka Dwarka. This is in Gujarat and probably under the water. The Tirtha of Kapila. Okay, so Kapil Muni's Tirtha, I guess. Surya Tirtha, Varusthana, Bhava Bhavna. What a concept. Bhava Bhavna. So thinking about thinking kind of. Bhava Bhavana. Oh no, this is probably Bhavan. So Bhava Bhavana. That might be it. The Tirtha of Yaksha Rakshasa. So even a Yaksha Rakshasa, they have a Tirtha for him too. And the excellent Tirtha of Brahma Tirtha. There is Kameshwara or Kameshwara. It's difficult to understand from English. That's the problem. There is Kameshwara, Matri Tirtha, the Tirtha of Shatavana, Hamsasthana, on earth, the lake of Sarasa, the Shashvamedha, Kedara, the beautiful Brahmagya. This is probably pronounced as Brahmagya. Saptarshi Kunda, the well-maintained Tirtha of the goddess Ihaspada, Kotikrita, Kivana, Kinjaya, Karandava, Vishwa, Trivishtapa, Panikhata. Panikhata. I wonder what this means. Panikhata. Mishraka, Madhukanta, Manomaya, Kaushiki, Deva Tirtha, the excellent Kanya Tirtha, Brahma Tirtha, the purifying Tirtha of Manasa Tirtha, obviously Manas, lakes Manas, Mansarovar, the forest of Shaugandhika, a forest of nice smells, Mani Tirtha, Saraswati, the excellent and purifying Ishana Tirtha, Panchayangnaka, I don't know how to pronounce it, Panchayangnaka. This J is supposed to be something else, I think. Trishula Dhara, Mahendra, the divine abode of Mahalaya, Shakambhari, the divine Tirtha known as Suvarna, Kapimada, Kshireshwara, Virupaksha, Bhrigu Tirtha, obviously, Kushodbhava. There is Brahmavarta, Brahmayoni, the mountain Nila, the lake of Bhadrakarna, the lake of Shakrakarna, Saptasarsvata, the Tirtha of Aushanas, Kapala Mochana, Avakirna, Panchaka, Chatus Samudrika. Okay, four seas. Chatus Samudrika, Satkanchana, Sahasrika, Renuka, Panchakataka, Vimochna, Anasa or Anasa, Sthanu Tirtha, the Tirtha of Kuru, Swargadwara, Kushal Dhwaja, Vishveshwara, Vamakara, the Hermitage of Narayana, Ganga Radha, okay, again a lake, Ganga Radha, Vata, the pure Badri mountain, Indra Margana Kshetra. All this while we were discussing Tirthas, now it's finally a Kshetra. Indra Margana Kshetra and Jirikavasa. O Brahmanas, there is Soma Tirtha, the extremely sacred Koti Tirtha Sthali, the lake of Bhadrakali, the forest of Arundhati, the excellent Brahmavarta, Ashvadevi, Kubjavana, Yamuna Prabha, Virapra Moksha, Siddhartha, Maya Vidyodbhava, Maharada, another lake, okay, great lake, Maharada, Vetasikarupa, the hermitage of Sundarika, the extremely great Tirtha of Brahmani, Gangodbhava, Saraswati, the Tirtha named Bahuka, Vimaloshaka, the Tirtha of Gautamairavati, the Tirtha of Shashta Sahasrika, so 6000, Shashta Sahasrika, Bharti Sthana, again Koti Tirtha, the supreme Kapili, the Tirtha of the intelligent Markandeya in Panchananda, Soma Tirtha, Shivoda, the Tirtha of Matsyodari, Surya Tirtha, as radiant as the sun, the forest of Somaka, Arunaspada, Vamanaka, the sandy Surya Tirtha. So Surya Tirtha is also sandy, okay? We were reading some place with the name Valuka already, right? So Surya Tirtha is also seems to be on a beach. I wonder where that is. Maybe Konark Sun Temple, Surya Tirtha on the beach, on the sandy Surya Tirtha. The Tirtha known as Avimukta, the lake of Nilakantha, Pishacha Mochana, the lake of Subhadra, Vimalakunda, the Tirtha of Chandishwara, the lake of Shrestha Sthana, Samudra Kupa, the forest of Jaigisha, the forest of Harikesha, Ajamukha Rasa. Okay, Ajamukha Rasa, Ajagar, Aja means goat, right? Ajamukha Rasa. Okay, the lake of Ghantakarna or Ghantakarna, I don't know. The lake of Pundarika, the tank of Kashtaka. Okay, now Shmashana Stambha, Kumbha, the lake of Vinayaka, the well of Siddhodbhava, the sacred Brahmasara, the Tirtha of Bhadravasa, Nagatirtha, Somaka, Bhakta Radha, Kshirasara, Pretadhara, Kumaraka, Brahmavarta, Kushavarta, Dadhikar Nodaya, the great Tirtha of Shringa Tirtha, Mahanadi, best among Tirthas, the divine Brahmasara, the sacred Akshayavata in Gayashira. Akshayavata in Gayashira, this probably is Gaya, right? Gomaya in the south, finally they mention some address. The sacred Akshayavata in Gayashira. Gomaya in the south, Hayashantika in the north, the lake of Kapila, Giridhrakuta, the lake of Savitri, Aghanashana, Gitavana, Yonidvara, the door to Yoni, Gitavana, a forest of Gita, Dhainuka, Dhanvaka, Lohika, the lake of Matanga, Pitrikupa, Rudrakupa, Mati Tirtha, Sumali, Brahmasthana, Saptakunda, the lake of Maniratna, the hermitage of Mudgala, the lake of Mudgala, the Tirtha known as Janakakupa, the sacred Vinashana, Shoka, the Tirtha known as Bharata, Jaishthalika, Vishweshwara, sacred 100 times over, Kanyasma, Kanyasama Samveda, Kanyasamvedha, not Veda, okay, Kanyasamvedha, Samvedha, Kanya Samvedha, Nidhira, Nidhiramabhava, the hermitage of Vashishta, the well in Devakuta, the hermitage of Kaushika, the lake of Kulakarna, the tree Kaushiki, Dharma Tirtha, Kanchana, the Tirtha of Uddalaka, Dandatma, the Tirtha of Malini, the Tirtha of Vanachandika, Sandhya Tirtha, Kala Tirtha, the ocean of Kapila Lohita, Shonodbhava, Vamsa Gulma, the Tirtha of Ramabhangika, the lake of Punyavata, the Tirtha of Srimati, the hermitage of Badarika, Ramatirtha, Vitasta, Merujatiya, the well of Rohini, the lake of Indradyumna, Avasarga, Mahendra, Sri Tirtha, Srinadi, Ishutirtha, Varshika, the lake of Kubera, Kanya Tirtha, Gokarna, probably in Bangalore, Gopatisthana, Samvarta, Vishvasa, the lake of Sapta Godavari, the second lake of Badri, Brahmasthana Vivardhana, Jatir Rada. Okay, Jati Rada, okay, it's another lake. Rad. Deva Rada, it's mentioned earlier. Kusha Prathana, Sarvadeva Vrata, the lake of Kanyashrama, the lake of Maharaja, the sacred Shakratirtha, the sacred Shakratirtha, Kundaka, Angaratirtha, the forest of Rudra, Medhavina, Deva Rada, the Tirtha of Amaravartana, the lake of Mandakini, the sacred Kshama Maheshwara, okay, so a forgiving Maheshwar, Kshama Maheshwara, Ganga Tirtha, Tripurusha, Bhima Tandava Mukha, okay, Bhima Tandava Mukha, Prithukuta, Shvalkuta, Shonitaka, a second Rohitaka, maybe Rotak gets its name from here, a second Rohitaka, the lake of Kapila, Malya, the lake of Kapila that belonged to Vashishta, the lake of Valakhilyas, 60,000 sages who were the sizes of thumbs. They preceded the sun's chariot. They were called Valakhilyas. The lake of Saptarshis, the lake of the Maharshis, and the lake Akhandita. A mortal man must be full of faith and properly observing the rites, must bathe in these tirthas after fasting and controlling his senses. In due order, he must satisfy gods, rishis, humans, and ancestors. He should worship the gods and reside there for 3 nights. O Brahmanas, each of these tirthas yields different fruits. From visiting these, there is no doubt that a man obtains the fruits obtained through a horse sacrifice. Okay, instead of Ashwamedha, you can just do this. If a person constantly listens to the excellent account about the greatness of the tirthas, reads it or hears it, he is cleansed of all sins. Okay, maybe we just got cleansed of some of our sins, hopefully. Okay, I wanted to discuss something here. Wait, I I think missed it. Hermitage of Mudgala, Janakupa, Jayashtita, Bharata. Yeah, so Vinashana. Yesterday also we were reading something about Vinashana, right? Where the Saraswati river ended, that is where it was called the Vinashana of Saraswati. So it's somewhere in Rajasthan, I think. There is a place, I think it's marked in the map as this is the place that was the Vinashana of Saraswati. Okay, now listen, let me drink some water. This is fascinating stuff. Okay, let's check out some comments now. Okay, they are discussing Khalistan. Let me just check out some comments. Okay, Harsh is saying, sorry, Lomaharshana actually means light of the world, brilliance and brightness of the world, radiance of the world. Earlier I mistyped Lomaharshana as Lomaharshaka. Okay, Lomaharshana is actually a great name. No, even, wait. Whoever is the Lomaharshana, whatever is the Lomaharshana, whoever possesses that is the person is then Lomaharshaka, right? Okay, to have, I will remember it too. Yeah. These beautiful Sanskrit names, Nina is saying, these beautiful Sanskrit names are basically why we need to rename our cities. Yes. And today, do you know, the Anand Ranganathan posted this, that the appeal to rename Patna as Bakhtiarpur as Nalanda or something was rejected by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that, do you want to keep the country boiling? ये नाम काहे change कर रहे हो? Okay, and by the way, guys, did you check out Earth Culture Festival's panel discussion with Jesai Deepak, Anand Ranganathan, etc.? I haven't watched it in full as of yet. I checked out the I have checked out half of it. There's something of a surprise because Anand Ranganathan comes out with literally guns blazing. This is what it's called. This metaphor is meant to describe that he starts off with antagonizing and demonizing the person sitting right beside him. You'll have to see it to believe it. He's not playing nice. He's not going to be like, okay, you are in front of me, so I'll just be nice to you. No. That guy's sitting beside him. He's keeping his hands on that guy's hands and then absolutely destroying him. Okay, Shravya is saying the meaning of Lomaharshana is so beautiful. Yes. Harsh is saying, but is it a male name or a female name? Male name. Yeah. The sage is male, so. Jambu Marga is shown in Rajasthan on internet. No, these might be newer names. They probably just named their locality Jambu Marga. So I am going to name my future son as Lomaharshana. Nice. Okay. Uttishta Bharata is saying, Dada, এখন লিঙ্কটা আমি দিচ্ছি, তুমি ডাউনলোড করে ফেলো. Where are you giving it? Give it in the comment section. Okay, not in the live chat. In the comment section, if you give it, then I'll always it will always stay there. Okay. Niner is saying a lot of place names with Vidyut, which I think means lightning. Yeah. Aniket is saying, what do you think how the relationship between Hindus and Sikhs should be according to Svayambhu? Okay, it should be as it should be with any Buddhist, Muslim, as anyone. If you think Hindus are your enemy, then you are done. You are my enemy as well. I don't need to plead you to bring you back into my fold. If you think you hate me, fine, I hate you too. If you want to be a part of this dharmic civilizational framework, you are welcome. It has to depend on the particular group or the person we are talking to. It has to vary on that. Vidyut means electricity. A separate sovereign panth. I'll keep an eye out, but yes, we'll trust them more than Abrahamics. Yes. Okay, Harsh is saying, if Khalistan becomes a reality, what would happen to interfaith Hindu-Sikh couple? Aniket, I don't think Sikhs who are not Khalistanis, they don't consider themselves out of Hinduism that much. They I guess they would be fine with the concept of being a part of the Sanatan dharmic civilization. Okay, Nina is saying ideal relationship should be like how Hindu-Jain relationship is. Yeah, that will never happen with them. We should identify differences but not stress on differences or oneness and have mutual respect for each other. By any chance, can the Shring Tirtha and Shringeri be the same? Yeah, it might be. Where is Shringeri? Ifin is saying, although I have a civilizational view on Khalistan, if they can make it by taking the last king's land in modern day Pakistan and Afghanistan, I'll support, as it will help us in the long run. Okay, Shringeri is in the south. So, Shringeri is also a matha established by Adi Shankaracharya and also has some reference in Ramayanas. Yeah. I have seen my own cousin do a path of Gurbani daily, but never read a single Hindu text. Hindus give service in Gurudwaras but not in temples. Yes. Shravya mean established by Rishi Shringa. Okay, Rishi Shringa. Oh, it's near Mangaluru. Okay, Afin is saying, Harsh is saying, if in Khalistan is not like Sikhs, they think should have revived Sikh empire. It's a Pakistan product, and if it becomes reality, its relationship with India would be like that of Pakistan, and it would not create Kashmir. Okay, Harsh, it's not a Pakistan creation. Okay, they were sustained by Pakistan ISI funding, but they were created by Indira Gandhi. Though there are Sikhs who sing Krishna bhajans, but the numbers are much low compared to Hindus. Yeah. Niner says, I personally believe if we convince them, we should send Khalistanis to Pakistan like we did Mukti Bahini to Bangladesh, and they can do Ghar Wapsi, and then from Khalistan outside India, but it's too ideal. Amazing Earth segment, especially by Anandji. Yeah. It's a 8-hour entire show. Do watch the full festival. Yeah, I'll check out Sanjeev Sanyal. He came there with that Australian sociologist. There are many Hindus in Punjab too, but today people equate being Punjabi with being a Sikh. Salvatore Babones with Sanjeev Sanyal. How did Sanjeev Sanyal do? Was he nice? Okay, let's get on with the next chapter. What's the next chapter? Swayambhu and the sages. So we are going to discuss Manu now today again. So we discussed Manu Smriti yesterday, and we'll discuss Manu now in Brahma Purana. So Swayambhu and the sages. The sages who are talking with Lomharshana, those sages said, since it can yield dharma, artha, kama and moksha, the earth is an excellent place. It is supreme among Tirthas. O supreme among eloquent ones, tell us about this Tirtha. Lomharshana replied, in ancient times, the sages asked my preceptor this question. O supreme among Brahmanas, I will tell you what you have asked me about. Vyasa, supreme among intelligent ones, was seated in Kurukshetra. He was in his extremely sacred hermitage, adorned with many kinds of flowers. It was full of many kinds of trees and creepers. There were hordes of different kinds of minor animals. There were Punnaga, Karnikara, Sarala, Devadaru, Shala, Tala, Tamala, Panasa, Dhava, Khadira, Patala, Ashoka, Bakula, Karavira, Champaka, and many other kinds of trees, blossoming with diverse kinds of flowers. Okay, Bibek Debroy makes a footnote here. Punnaga can mean either nutmeg or a white lotus. Karnikara is the name of a tree. Sarala is a kind of pine. Devadaru is also a kind of pine. Shala or Sala is Shoria robusta. Tala is a palm tree. Tamala is a tree with dark bark. Panasa is the jackfruit tree. Dhava is the axlewood tree. Khadira is a kind of tree. Patala is Bignonia suaviolens. That's the scientific name. Ashoka is a tree with orange-red flowers. Saraka indica. Bakula is a tree with fragrant flowers. Karavira is a kind of tree, and Champaka is a tree with yellow and fragrant flowers. Vyasa, he was the composer of the Mahabharata and was accomplished in sacred texts. He was devoted to Adhyatma, transcendental knowledge. Adhyatma means transcendental knowledge about the Paramatman. He was devoted to Adhyatma and knew about everything. He was engaged in the welfare of all creatures. He was the one who spoke about the Puranas and the Agama texts. Agam texts means Agamas are texts other than the Vedas, such as the Tantra texts. He was knowledgeable about the Vedas and the Vedangas. He was Parashara's tranquil son. Okay, I had no idea that Vedavyasa was Parashara's son. He was Parashara's tranquil son, with large eyes that were like lotus petals. Firm in their vows, the sages happily came to meet him. Kashyapa, Jamadagni, Bharadvaja, Gautama, Vasishtha, Jaimini, Dhaumya, Markandeya, Valmiki, Vishwamitra, Shatananda, Vatsya, Garga, Asuri, Sumantu, the one named Bhargava, Kanva, the preceptor Medhatithi. Medhatithi's commentary on Manusmriti is the most famous one. The preceptor Medhatithi, Mandavya, Chavana, Dhumra, Asita, Devala, Maudgalya, Trinabahu, Pippalada, Akrityavrana, Akrityavrana, Samvarta, Kaushika, Raibhya, Maitreya, Harita, Shandilya, Agastya, Durvasha, Lomasha, Narada, Parvata, Vaishampayana. Okay, Vaishampayana. He is supposed to be the Vedavyasa. So Vaishampayana is coming to Vedavyasa's hermitage now. So it's probably a different Vedavyasa now. Vaishampayana, Galava, Bhaskari, Purani, Suta, Pulastya, Kapila, Ulaka, Pulaha, Vayu, Devasthana, Tumbru, Sanat Kumara, Paila, Krishna, and Krishnanubhautika. So, you see here that Trinabahu Samavarta. So all the so at least one female Brahmavadini has also come here. Where did her name go? Maudgala, Medha Tithi, Mandavya. Oh, I missed it out. Did they mention Maitri? Gargi, Maitri, Lopamudra are the Brahmavadinis. I think I read the name of one Brahmavadini at least. These excellent sages surrounded Satyavati's son. So the footnote says Vedavyasa was the son of Parashara and Satyavati. His name was Krishna Dvaipayana. Vedavyasa being like a title. Okay. Vaishampayana. Okay, I mixed up Vaishampayana with Krishna Dvaipayana. Okay, that was absolutely my stupidity. So yeah, obviously Vaishampayana can come to Krishna Dvaipayana's hermitage. These excellent sages surrounded Satyavati's son. The intelligent sage was radiant, like the moon surrounded by the nakshatras. The one who knew about the Vedas honored all the sages who had arrived. They too honored him, and they conversed amongst themselves. When the conversation was over, all the best among sages, residents of hermitages in the forests, asked Krishna, Satyavati's son, about a doubt they had. Krishna Dvaipayana, so Krishna. The sages said, O sage, O eloquent one, you know the Vedas, the sacred texts, the Puranas, the Agamas, the Mahabharata, and everything about the past, the present, and the future. This world of samsara is without any substance. It is full of misery and hardships. It is as if this region is submerged in a flood with attachment resembling fierce crocodiles. Oh my god, look at this wisdom. ये देखो हिंदू wisdom किसको कहते हैं. ये विश्व क्या है? It is full of misery and hardships. So see how much Abrahamic episteme Jordan Peterson they draw from Hinduism without knowing that they are drawing from Hinduism. Jordan Peterson calls this that life is a catastrophe, the pathology of existence. And Brahma Purana is saying the same thing. This world of samsara is without any substance. It is full of misery and hardships. It is as if this region is submerged in a flood, and the attachments are like the fierce crocodiles while you are stuck in a flood. You are in the flood, and the attachments are like crocodiles. It is seen that the senses are like hundreds of whirlpools. Ye dekho wisdom. Such beautiful metaphors. Wait. I need to mark this. I'll just mark it as life sucks. So I'll have to read this again because it's absolutely beautiful. This world of samsara is without any substance. It is full of misery and hardships. It is as if this region is submerged in a flood with attachment resembling fierce crocodiles. It is seen that the senses are like hundreds of whirlpools. It's again that discipline equals freedom concept which we discussed in Manusmriti yesterday. You have to have control over your senses. Jitendriya. So all these senses which are distracting us from our path or our main goals, so they are compared with whirlpools. There is the mire of delusion. It is deep with avarice. It is impassable and impossible to cross. We can see the world submerged, unconscious, and without support. O immensely fortunate one, O supreme among sages, this terrible samsara gives us goosebumps. Therefore, we are asking you, through your instructions, you should tell us about the supreme worlds that are extremely difficult to obtain. You should tell us about the kshetras that grant emancipation on this earth, which is a karma bhumi. We wish to hear about this. Indeed, if a man performs his instructed karma on earth properly, he obtains supreme success. If they are able to do their karma on earth properly, तो कर्मा नहीं करके अगर सेंसेस का वर्ल्डपूल में घुस जाएंगे तब तो प्रॉब्लम है. If he performs the wrong karma, he goes to hell. And hell does not mean a place. Hell it might be a naraka or patala. The supremely intelligent obtains moksha in the kshetras that grant moksha. O immensely wise one, therefore, Answer what the best among Brahmanas are asking you. Lomaharshana continued. Vyasa, the intelligent one who knew about the past, the present, and the future, heard the words spoken by the sages who had cleansed their souls. And Vyasa replied, O sages, I will tell you what all of you have asked me about. Listen. Okay, now Vyasa is replying. So get ready. Listen. Earlier, this is a conversation that Brahma had with the rishis on the extensive slopes of Meru, which is decorated with many jewels. It is full of many kinds of trees and creepers and is decorated with many kinds of flowers. It is beautiful with the calls of many kinds of birds, and it is full of many springs. Many kinds of beings live there, and there are many kinds of wonders. It is strewn with many kinds of rocks of diverse colors and ornamented with many kinds of minerals. It is full of many kinds of sages and decorated with many hermitages. The protector of the universe, the creator of the universe, the four-faced Lord of the universe was seated there. He is worshipped by the universe, and he is the Lord who is the foundation of the universe. He was surrounded by gods, Danavas, Yakshas, Vidyadharas, Uragas, sages, Siddhas, Apsaras, and other residents of heaven. Okay, who are Vidyadharas? They are semi-divine species. Some were praising the god, and some were singing in front of him. Some were playing on a musical instrument, others were dancing. With all the creatures assembled there, it was a time for rejoicing. The breeze that flew from the south carried the fragrances of many flowers. Bhrigu and the other sages bowed down before the god, the grandfather. O Brahmanas, those supreme rishis asked the grandfather exactly the same question. The rishis said, O illustrious one, we wish to hear about the karma bhumi on earth. O Lord of the gods, you should tell us about the kshetra that grants moksha, which is so very different to obtain. Brahma, the Lord of the gods, heard their words and the question that was asked of him by all the excellent sages, and he replied. Okay, now guess the chapter what we are about to begin. Description of Bharatavarsha. Let's check out some comments. আমাদের পরম্পরাতে বললেও থেকে নারায়ণা Vaishastan Shaktim. Yeah. Vaishampana is a disciple of Vedavyasa. Yeah, I was screwing it up. Bro, can you increase the microphone volume? It seems low. Okay. Hello. Yogindra Mathasasyam. Okay. Sri Shankara Chamriya Mathasya. Oh, he gave the entire shloka. অনেক লম্বা ছিল, ক্ষমা করে দিও. Yeah. Khalistan never became reality. Okay. Now we are getting into description of Bharatavarsha. Brahma said, O sages, all of you listen to what I will tell you now. This is an ancient account connected with the Vedas. It is auspicious and grants objects of pleasure and emancipation. On earth, Bharatavarsha is said to be Karma Bhumi. It is a land where the fruits of karma give rise to heaven or hell. O Brahmanas, in this Varsha, depending on whether a man acts in accordance with Dharma or is a sinner, he certainly reaps the fruits, good or bad. In this Varsha, if Brahmanas and others control themselves and properly perform their respective tasks, there is no doubt that they obtain supreme success. O Supreme among Brahmanas, in this Varsha, a self-controlled man obtains everything, Dharma, Artha, Kama or Moksha. O Supreme among Brahmanas, in this Varsha, if Indra and the other gods undertake their tasks properly, they obtain the status of being gods. There are other men who have controlled their senses and have obtained moksha. In this Varsha, there were learned people who were serene, devoid of attachment and devoid of jealousy. They have gone to heaven on Vimanas and remained there, devoid of anxiety. They performed auspicious deeds in this Varsha and went to heaven. Therefore, the gods always hanker after residence in Bharatavarsha. When will be able to see the place where one obtains the fruits of heaven and emancipation? The sages said, O best among gods, you have said that with the exception of Bharata, There is no other place where one obtains the fruits of auspicious and evil karma. Depending on whether the deeds are superior or middle, one obtains moksha or goes to heaven. There is no other place that is karma bhumi for mortals. O Brahma, therefore, show us your compassion. Tell us about Bharata in detail, about its location. O Protector, what is this Varsha like, and what are the mountains in this Varsha? What are the divisions of this Varsha? Tell us everything completely. Brahma replied, O Brahmanas, hear about the 9 divisions of Bharatavarsha. Know that they are equal in size and are separated from each other by oceans. Indradvipa, Kasheru, Tamravarna, Gabhastimat, Nagadvipa, Saumya, Gandharva, and Varuna. And there is a ninth Dvipa, that is surrounded by the ocean. From south to north, the Dvipa extends for 1000 yojanas. The Kiratas reside to the east and the Yavanas to the west. O Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras reside in it and purify themselves through tasks like performing sacrifices, fighting, and trading. These tasks are said to constitute good behavior for them. In this Varsha, there are good or bad deeds that cause ascendance to heaven. Mahendra, Malay, Sahya, Shuktimat, Mount Riksha, Vindhya, Paryatra, these are the 7 Kulachalas here. Other than these, there are thousands of other mountains that are near them. They are extensive, tall, and beautiful. Their summits are large and colorful. They are Kolahola, Vaibhraja, Mandara, Mount Dardala, Vatadvaga, Daivata, Mainaka, Surasa, Tungaprastha, Naga, Mount Godhana, Mount Pandura, Mount Pushpa, Vaijayanta, Raivata, Arbuda, Rishyamuka, Gomantha, Kritashaila, Mount Krita, Shriparvata, Chakora, and hundreds of other mountains. In the midst of these mountains, there are habitations and mlechas. Mlechas means barbarians, those who did not speak Sanskrit. And others live in those divisions. O Supreme among Brahmanas, know that they drink the waters from the best of rivers. The rivers that flow from the feet of the Himalayas are Ganga, Saraswati, Sindhu, Chandrabhaga, which is in Orissa, Yamuna, Shatadru, Vipasha, Vitasta, Iravati, Kuhu, Gomati, Dhutapapa, Bahuda, Drishadvati, Vipasha, Devika. Okay, a footnote about Vipasha. Vipasha is repeated. Okay, Devika, Drishadvati, and Saraswati are the 2 main important rivers. Even we were discussing this in Manusmriti yesterday as well. Drishadvati, Vipasha, Devika, Chakshu, Nishthiva, Gandaki, and Kaushiki. The rivers that flow from Paryatra are said to be Devasmriti, Devavati, Vatagni, Sindhu, Venya, Chandana, Sadanira, Mahi or Mahi, Charmanvati, Vrishi, Vidisha, Vetravati, Shipra, and Dravanti. The rivers that flow from the feet of Riksha are Shona, Mahanadi, Narmada, Suratha, Kriya, Mandakini, Desharna, Chitrakuta, Chitrotpala, Vetravati, Karamoda, Pishachika, Atilaghushhroni, Vipasha, the river Shaivala, Sameruja, Shuktimati, Shakuni, Tridiva, Kramu, and other swift-flowing rivers. The auspicious rivers with sacred waters that flow from the feet of Vindhya are, so this is in the south, or Madhya Pradesh, I guess, or somewhere between the south and the central parts of India. The auspicious rivers with sacred waters that flow from the feet of Vindhya are Shipra, Payoshni, Nirvindhya, Tapi, best among rivers, Vena, Vaitarani, Sinivali, Kumudvati, Toya, Mahagauri, Durga, and Antashila. The best among rivers that flow from the feet of Sahya, the mountain Sahya, are Godavari, Bhimarathi, Krishnavena, the river Tungabhadra, Suprayoga, and Papanashini. The sacred rivers with cool waters that flow from Mount Malay are Kritamala, Tamraparni, Pushpavati, and Upalavati. This is in South India. Those that flow from Mahendra are said to be Pritisoma, Rishikulya, Vanjula, Tridiva, Langalini, and Vamshakara. Those that flow from Shukti are said to be Suvikala, Kumari, Manuga, Mandagamini, Kshaya, and Palashini. All of these rivers are as sacred as the Saraswati and the Ganga, and all of them flow towards the ocean. All of them are like mothers to the world. All of them are said to cleanse all sins. O Supreme among Brahmanas, there are thousands of other minor rivers. Some of them flow during the rainy season, others flow at all times of the year. The habitations in the middle region that are generally spoken about are Matsya, Kumudamalya, Kratula, Kashi, Koshala, Andhraka, Kalinga, Mashaka, and Vrika. River Godavari flows to the north of Sahya, and this is the most pleasant region in the entire earth. The city of the great-souled Bhargava is the beautiful Govardhana. The Bhargava is Parashurama, and the Govardhana in question was near Nashik. This is a footnote that says, written by Bibek Debroy. The city of the great-souled Bhargava is the beautiful Govardhana. Families of Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras live in Vahika, Ratadhana, Sutira, Kalatoyada, Aparanta, Shudra, Bahlika, Kerala, Gandhara. Kerala is mentioned. Balika is probably Afghanistan area. Balika, Kerala, Gandhara. Gandhara is also Afghanistan. Yavana is further west. It's Europe. Sindhu, west. Shavira, Madraka is, I think, also in the northwest. Shatadruha, Kalinga, Orissa. Parada, Haribhushika, Mathara. Is it supposed to be Mathura? Mathara, Kanaka, Kaikeya, and Dambhamalika. O Indras among Brahmanas, the lands in the northern regions are Kamboja, Barbara. Okay, there is something called Barabar caves. Kamboja Desa, these are in the north. Kamboja, it might be Cambodia, but it says north, so it can't be Cambodia. The lands in the northern regions are Kamboja, Barbara, Laukika, Veera, Tushara, Pallava. Okay, Pallava, let me tell you where Pallava is. So this is the Akhand Bharat regions again, right? So Pallava is probably Persia. Okay, and I'll tell you why. The Shah of Iran, the last dynasty who were there before this Islamic revolution happened, they were called the Pallava dynasty. This is the word similar to Pahalwans. Okay, the Pahalwan word is derived from there. Pahlava, Pahlava, and Pahlavan. So they call themselves Pahlavas, and this is the exact same spelling, Pahlavas. So Veera, so this all seems northwest, and even Odisha is covered. Veera, Tushara, Pallava, with men from this is not the Pallava dynasty, this is Pahlava, Pahlava. Pahlava with men from Dhayata, Atreya, Bharadvaja, Pushkala, Dasheraka, Lampaka, Shunashoka, Kulika, Jangala, Aushadhini, Chalachandra, that is populated by the Kirata species, Tomara, Hamsamarga, okay, again that pathway of ducks, Hamsamarga, Kashmira. Kashmir has never been an integral part of India, but Brahma Puran mentions Kashmira, okay? This we need to bring up in debates forever and after from today. Kashmira, Karuna, Shulika, Kuhaka, and Magadha. Now hear about the eastern lands. Okay, now we will come to Kolkata, bro. Now hear about the eastern lands. Andha, Vamankuraka, Vallaka, Makhantaka, Anga, Vanga, Malada. Is Malada the Malda of today? Malavartika, Bhadratunga, Pratijaya, Bharyanga, Apamardaka, Prag Jyotisha, which is Assam, Madra, Videha, Tamraliptaka, which is just it's about 200 it's about 2 hours in it takes about, if you ride a bike it takes 2 hours to go to Tamraliptaka, which is Tamralipti obviously. Malla, okay, these are all regions in Bengal. Magadhaka, okay, Magadhaka, is this where Dhaka got its name? Magadhaka and Nanda, I don't know where Nanda might be, but Malla is called Mallabhumi. The Malla king dynasties, I think they were also from the south. Malla, I don't remember. Mallas are probably from south as well. So their descendants are still here. They have become Bengali now. But Mallabhum is near Bakura, the Rar areas. Tamralipti is in Mednipur, in Bengal. Madra, I don't know where. Pragjyotisha is in Assam. Malada seems to be Malda in Bengal. And we have Banga, obviously. These are the habitations to the east. There are other habitations of those who reside in Dakshinapatha. I don't know. See, people will tell you that Bengal has also never been an integral part of the Hindu civilization, which is absolutely stupid nonsense, because see what Brahma Purana is saying about the geography. There are other habitations of those who reside in Dakshinapatha. Purna, Kevala, Golangula, Rishika, Mushika, Kumara, Ramatha, Shaka, Maharashtra, Mahishaka, the entire Kalinga, Abhira, Vaishikya, Atavya, Sarava, Pulinda, Maulya, Vedarbha. Vedarbha might be Vidarbha in Maharashtra. Dandaka might be Dandakaranya in Orissa. Maulika, Ashmaka, Paulika, Bhojavardhana, Kaulika, Kuntala. Okay, Kuntala was in Bahubali. Dambhaka, Neelakalaka. These are the lands in the southern region. Now hear about those that are to the west. Okay, middle region. Now further west. Okay. Shurparaka, Kalidhana, Lola, and Talakata. Okay, these were if this is west, if something is west according to Brahma Puran, it has to be beyond our Akhand Bharat. Okay, it has to be I think Afghanistan, Iran at the very least. Let's check some questions. অনেক বৈদিক সূক্তের সরল সংস্কৃত অনুবাদ করা হয়েছে. Hindu-Jain relationship is of mutual respect, but it doesn't come in a way of making their own community strong. But case of Hindus and Sikhs are different. Yeah, Aniket, you should listen to Shilpi Tiwari, Pahlavi dynasty of Persia. Yeah, that is, and I think this is what they're saying, Pahlava, or maybe the Pahlavi dynasty went from here to there. Pallava, out of India theory to hai. In Bihar, Malla are fishermen's. Oh, okay. Actually, Malla means wrestling. Okay. These kings were great at wrestling, or they were wrestlers to begin with, because this dynasty, as far as I remember, did not start with a king. Okay, it started with a king who was adopted, I think, by some random people. It's kind of has a Bahubali story. So he went on to become a king. He was an adopted king, and he was maybe adopted by the Bihar fishermen or something, because remember, Bahubali, I think, tries to hint at this story, because in Bahubali also they were kind of fishermen who living by the rivers, and in the Hindi translation, in the Hindi dubbing also, they were given a Bihari accent. So maybe Rajamouli knows about this, that Malla kings were probably adopted by fishermen who, and then that guy went on to become a Malla king and started the Malla dynasty. But Malla means wrestling in Indian languages. Okay, Malla Yudh, Malla Juddho in Bengali means wrestling. Oh, and you know the surname Malla Reddy in South India. Malla Reddy, they are also Mallas. They are the same section of society. They were also good at wrestling at some point in their lives. They were professional wrestlers. Okay, it's 2 o'clock already. How big is this? Okay, this is about to end. We'll finish this chapter. These are the regions to the west. Now, okay, west ho gaya. Now hear about those are to the west. Shuraparaka, Kalidhana, Lola, Talakata. We wonder where these places are now. Probably have some Muslim names. Talakata. These are the regions to the west. Now hear about those who reside in the Vindhyas. Malaja, Karkasha, Melaka, Cholaka, Uttamarna, Dasharna, Bhoja, Kishkindhaka. Okay, Kishkindha is Hampi probably. Toshala, Koshala, Toshala, Traipura, Vedisha, Tumbura, Chara, Okay, here's a Yavana is here as well. Yavana, Pavana, Abhaya, Rundikera, Charchara, Hotra Dharti. All these are the habitations of those who live in the Vindhya region. I will now tell you about the lands that are there in the mountains. These are Nihara, Tushamarga, Kuru, Tungana, Tungana, Khasa, Karnapravarana, Urna, Dargha, Kunchaka, Chitramarga, Malava, Kirata, and Tomara. The norms of the 4 yugas, Krita, Treta, and others, are followed here. Such is Bharatavarsha, with its 9 subdivisions. The great ocean exists towards its south, west, and east. Like the bowstring of a bow, the Himalayas stretch towards the north. O supreme Brahmanas, Bharatavarsha is the seed of everything. O Brahmanas, depending on the good or bad deeds one has performed, one obtains the state of Brahma, the state of the Lord of the Immortals, the state of a god, the state of a Marut. Birth as an animal, Yaksha or Apsara, birth as a serpent or reptile, and birth as an immobile object. State of Lord, Immortal, the state of a god, Yaksha. Depending on the good or bad deeds, this is how we are born. O Brahmanas, depending on the karma one has undertaken, one can obtain different worlds. O Brahmanas, the gods always have this wish, quote, when we are dislodged from the state of being a god, may we be born on earth in Bharata, end quote. This is a quotation from gods. The gods and the asuras are incapable of doing what humans do. Men can devote themselves to karma, whereas they are always anxious to exhaust the results of their karma. Oh, what a beautiful line, what a beautiful line. This is again pure Hindu wisdom we are talking about here. Men can devote themselves to karma, whereas they are always anxious to exhaust the results of their karma. Abhi chahiye sab karma ka sab result. O Brahmanas, on earth there is no other place like Bharatavarsha. Here, Brahmanas and the other Varnas obtain what they desire. The best among men who are born in Bharatavarsha are blessed. They obtain the great fruits of Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. They obtain the fruits of austerity, which are extremely difficult to obtain. All of the fruits of donations are obtained, as well as the fruits of sacrifices. All the fruits of visiting the Tirthas properly are obtained, as are the fruits of serving the Guru. There are the fruits of worshipping the gods and the fruits of Garhasthya. So, footnote says the 4 stages of life, ashrama, are which means ashrama, are brahmacharya, the state of being a student, garhasthya, householder stage, vanaprastha, seeking refuge in the forest, and sannyasa, renouncing. The gods always desire a wonderful birth here in Bharatavarsha. There are the fruits of many kinds of vows and the fruits of many sacred texts. There are the proper fruits of non-violence, as there are fruits of everything else that is wished for. There are the fruits of brahmacharya, and there are the fruits of self-study. There are the fruits of self-study. What a beautiful concept. There are the fruits of residing inside the forest. That is vanaprastha. And there are the fruits of sannyasa. There are the fruits of ishta and purta. Ishta is religious rites, purta is civic works. So the Brahma Purana is saying whatever you do, even if you are in civic works or you are in religious rites, you still get the fruits. There are the fruits of ishta and purta, as there are the fruits of other auspicious deeds. O best among Brahmanas, what can be obtained in Bharatavarsha cannot be obtained elsewhere. O Brahmanas, who is capable of speaking about all the good qualities of Bharata? Thus I have accurately spoken about the excellent Bharatavarsha. This account destroys all sins. It is sacred and blessed, and improves the intelligence. If a person constantly hears this, controls his senses, and meditates on it, he is freed from all sins and goes to Vishnu's world. This is where we end our live stream today, guys. What a great read it has been today. So we will pick up the Brahma Puran again on the next Tuesday night, and tomorrow we are getting back to history of Indian philosophy, and my book hasn't arrived yet. And day after tomorrow, on Thursday night, we are discussing a paper by Dr. Meenakshi Jain, And Shravya is saying there is a Malla dynasty of Nepal too. Yes, there is. And the Mallas of Nepal, or all the priests of Nepal, actually I think are from Karnataka, because they are called Bhatta Brahmins, right? In Nepal, all the Purohits who do the pujas in Nepal are called Bhatta Brahmins, and Bhatta Brahmins are originally from Karnataka. And I think that is how the Bengali Brahmin surname Bhattacharya also came about, because it's a Bhatta person, a Bhatta Brahmin who is also an Acharya. So that's, I think, the how Bhattacharya surname came, Bhatta Acharya. I think that is the etymology. Okay, let's end the stream today. We'll pick it up tomorrow. Tomorrow 12 at night, we are discussing history of Indian philosophy. So thanks a lot for joining the live stream, guys. It was great fun today.